Okay, everybody, it's me, Gregory Mannarino. It is just a lovely day, of course. Every day is beautiful, surrounded with little puffs of loveliness everywhere. But with that said, let us move forward. So yes, on this beautiful, lovely, fantastic day, we got a couple of pieces of information that we need to know about, and let's start off with that today. We got a warning today from Bank of America. I want you to listen to this. This is quote verbatim, none of my own words here. Bank of America, you ready for this? Expectations of global growth and corporate profit have plunged to a record low. I'm laughing. I shouldn't be laughing. And investors are cutting exposure to risky assets. Now, let's ponder that for a moment. How many of you are surprised to hear that? How about zero? None. Oh my. Is this a surprise to you? How about this one here? So this is a story that's been going on for a while now, but it seems to be getting more attention. So China is dumping U.S. debt. Oh, I wonder why that's happening. And we also found out, I'm laughing, I shouldn't laugh, it's too much. U.S. housing starts fall again. It's the same story that is being twisted and distorted via the propaganda ministry. Our economy is booming. We are super strong. The consumer could not be better off and everybody's rich. But the fact of the matter is, it's just more of the same. It's a lie on an incredible scale. It's over. I've been telling you this for the longest time now. Economy's dead. People are, they're dancing their, and I've been saying this, dancing their way into destitution by continuing to borrow beyond their eyeballs, acquiring debt they can't possibly ever pay back. Does that sound familiar to you? Well, it kind of should. That's how nations are operating today. For example, the United States, the biggest laughing stock, largest debtor nation the world has ever seen, a slave nation, like every developed nation is, to their central bank, who continue to pull cash out of the future along with puppet governments to just keep the shit show going. And the shit show is just a mechanism to push cash into the stock market by fleecing everybody else, hyperinflating a debt bubble that is sincerely the greatest threat to human life on the planet Earth. It has, look, the debt bubble is a greater danger to the survival of mankind than a nuclear exchange between nations around the world here. That's a fact, because when this debt bubble bursts, and it will, we're going to face a resource problem on a scale that's going to be, are you ready for the word? Biblical. Biblical. And if you think this is by accident, then you have no idea. They want to bring the world, central banks, who are the one world government, okay, in case you're wondering who they are. They want to bring the world's population to its knees. And what will happen is people are going to go to the same entities. Oh, help us. We need you. We know you can help us. They're turning the world into a slave nation by eliminating an entire class of people, making them dependent on the system. You all know that. It's pretty much in our freaking face here. So on the back of this warning from Bank of America, on the back of China dumping U.S. debt, on the back of another round of bad economic news on the housing front, it's not going to stop. We have stock futures this morning pointing towards a higher open. Oh, yeah. Look, we already know what's going on. When you have central banks engaging in their final solution, and that is to own it all, ECB, unlimited bond buying program, Federal Reserve will, of course, follow suit. They probably are via some, backdoor mechanism here. That's what they're trying to do is, again, not only inflate the global debt bubble way, way worse than it already is, but of course try to force cash back into equities, despite the fact that Bank of America is saying that investors are cutting exposure to risky assets. Look, we have an S&P 500 that is barely barely in bear market territory right now. This effort is pretty profound to try to get cash back into the stock market here. And again, in the long run, it's not going to work. All it's doing right now is exacerbating the underlying problem. What is the underlying problem? You know what it is? It's debt. We are in a full-blown, absolutely off the Richter scale, out of control debt crisis. And how do we know we're in a debt crisis? Because look what central banks are doing. They continue to inflate. And that is their end goal anyway, to own it all. You know that since I don't know how many years I've been explaining this to you. And people are sitting back smiling like this, not saving any money and continuing to borrow. It's what a scenario they have created here via, again, the propaganda ministry. It keeps spewing more and more dog shit wrapped in cat shit sprinkled with bird shit. So it's crazy. They've managed to turn the population into zombies. I mean, the zombie apocalypse is absolutely real. And they are leading the global population, central banks, leading the global population to a slaughter of truly epic proportions. All right, going back to the market. Stock futures are higher right now. 10-year yield hovering at about 2.99%. Bitcoin doing well, over 22,000. Gold and silver under some pressure here. You got WTI crude hovering just over $100 a barrel. And you have a dollar, or a relative strength, comparative strength, for those of you that have a hard time understanding relative strength, that is lower here. So look, what's the setup for the market right now? It's neutral, and we're going to see how this plays out. Look, we haven't seen anything yet with regard to an effort by central banks to, number one, continue to inflate, number two, continuing to drive inflation higher globally by their nonsensical token nudges higher with regard to the federal funds rate. Are you kidding me? Anybody with one fraction of one functioning brain cell realizes that the action of central banks right now by nudging the federal funds rate, what are we talking about? Federal funds rate. We're talking about the overnight rate, and people are being sold a lie. That is, okay, central banks, we're going to be nudging the overnight rate, fractions at a time, and that's really going to prevent inflation. It's going to prevent it from surging higher. You know it's going to, because we're telling you it's going to happen. It's bullshit. It's bullshit on an incredible scale. You know that. Meanwhile, central banks continue to inflate, buying it all. Nobody is talking about this. You don't hear it, and you never will ever hear it from one single mainstream media outlet, because they're all just fed a script. Oh, read this today. Read this today. Tell the people this today. Duh, duh, duh. This is what they do. It's an incredible thing. So anyway, with that said, look, let them play their game. We're going to play our game. What is our game? Understanding that the global debt issue, we aren't even close to peaking with regard to global debt. And once we do, when this debt bubble bursts, it's going to be an epic moment here. Debt bubble's going to burst. Rates are going to spike in an uncontrolled fashion. You see what they're doing right now? They're trying to keep rates, under control here by some kind of management of the debt market and yield curve, which looks like a freaking pretzel right now. So we got central banks in here doing their thing. They're going to continue to inflate the debt. They're going to continue to suppress precious metal prices, in my view, when the debt bubble bursts, and it will. It's just a matter of time here. Uncontrolled spiking across the board. They're going to allow it to happen at one point. Right now, there's a lot of effort to prevent that from happening. We witnessed it with our own eyeballs. Remember? They try to tell you what you're seeing is not real. Well, we saw the sell-off, okay? Central banks, ECB, Fed getting in here, making sure they try to stabilize that right now. This is massively inflationary. You know that. Okay, so they're trying to push cash back into the stock market. Lovely. But at one moment in time, this is going to get very real. Implosion in debt market. It's going to melt down the stock market. Cash is just going to move. It's going to move into real things. For example, like physical silver. Okay? That's how I see this happening. It's Risk on, meaning cash going into equities. Like I just said, we're barely in a bear market with regard to the S&P 500. You're going to see cash move into commodities, and we're going to see a commodity spike across the board that's going to be truly mind-boggling. And that's also being set up by design as well. Should be obvious to you. All right, people, look, I'm out of here. Kind of important stuff going on here. I will keep you on top of this as I always do. This guy here loves you a lot. Please comment. Let me know what you think. I learn a lot from you, believe it or not, and I do read the comments. I'll see all of you at the end of the day. Please share the video, and that's all.